Here's how they line up for the third and final race from Taupo for the BNT V8s. Reverse gritter, Nick Ross and Andy Booth, and all Holden. Front row, Simon Richards and John Penny for a Ford second row.
We then filter back through to Christina All-West there and Hayden McKenzie. Then Martin Short, he's going to be a big mover in this race, no doubt. Next door to him, Dean Perkins.
Starting out of position 9, it's Eddie Bell alongside Andy Knight, the two Christchurch drivers. They started the weekend side by side. Then it's Craig Baird and Tim Edgell alongside each other.
Scott McLaughlin, Andrew Anderson, a pair of Holden Commodores back there. Then Angus Fogg and Paul Manuel. Blinding run so far in that Holden Commodore.
Angus Fogg still the championship leader. Go to John McIntyre and Kane Scott. Jason Barguana and David Hopper. Barguana is the points leader for the round. Matt Lockwood completes the lineup. An all Holden front row. Who's it going to be at the end of this one as we build into the ITM 400 at Hamilton? Get ready to rock and roll. It erupts off the start line.
Oh, she's a pretty scrappy start. Look at that 5 abreast. This is not going to work. Craig Baird looks like he's folded right back to the last position, so something's gone wrong with that United Video car already. Here we go. Who is going to fold first?
Yeah, well, Craig Baird was from grid position 13, so he didn't get a great start at all.
No, so either way, that car is out of the picture. So he was second, third in the championship. He won't be after this race. Here we go. Dust. Look for the dive down the inside here.
Oh, Scott McLaughlin to the outside. What has happened to Craig Baird? He still hasn't come into shot. On board with McLaughlin again, running wide. That was out of 5 to 6, under brakes to 7.
Just trying to find an area of the track that he can get in and work with, because at the moment he's starting to get a bit dry.
Craig Baird is parked on the side of the racetrack, so third in the points, having issues already inside the first lap of the 20-lap finale here at Taupo. On board with John McIntyre up the inside of Jason Barguana at 9.
These guys will just contest this all the way up through turn 10 here into 11. Jason Barguana still in the box seat because he's got the inside running.
Timmy Edgell was just up ahead of them as McLaughlin goes to the inside of Christina All-West. Eddie Bell's going to follow him through as well.
Yeah, just looking back a little bit further down the field, we saw that battle going on, and quite possible that Kane Scott may have got the inside of Johnny McIntyre.
There's Craig Baird getting pushed off to the side of the racetrack, so his race is over. Nick Ross leads from Andy Booth. Simon Richards in the third position. Then it's John Penny, Martin Short, Scott McLaughlin. McLaughlin start, grid position 15. What a blinder of a first lap from the youngster.
Said before the start of this race, he's just got to muscle it in with these guys now, and his intentions aren't very early. It's exactly what he's done.
Here's Angus Fogg in behind Andy Anderson alongside Paul Manuel. Andy Knight carrying some front bonnet damage to the front of the Century Batteries Ford. On board with Kane Scott, that's Matt Lockwood just up ahead. John McIntyre immediately ahead of him. Nick Ross continuing to lead from Booth, Richards, Penny, Short, McLaughlin, Bell, All-West Anderson. And it's a big stack up and behind them now. Was that Dean Perkins just dropping some fluid down on the racetrack?
Starting to get a bit scrappy, isn't it? These guys, it's just Taupo for you. It can create some very dynamic racing at the best of times, but you see Jason Barguana starting to get a little bit impatient. Back of Andy Knight's car.
There's Craig Baird, he's back in the pits, so out of third in the points. It's going to be a big points loss here for Craig Baird. We don't know what's happened, but he failed to take the throttle at the start and failed right back through to the tail of the field, and I don't think he even made turn 1.
Well, Simon Richards going very wide there. Unfortunately, the guys behind him too far back, but this is where we're going to see all the manoeuvres take place coming into turn 11, because then it just leads into a bit of a drag strip.
Angus Fogg in 11th place. Now on board with Kane Scott. Let's see where Craig Baird comes from.
And this stage is going to come in the picture, going very slow right there.
Foggy's gone left. There he is there.
Right, it's just not accelerating as quick as what we would expect. But either way, he's shuffled right back. We saw in that picture before he's still in the car, and Kinnick's looking underneath. So either way, he is out of this race.
John McIntyre 16th, Kane Scott 17th. Timmy Edgell. Was that just a break lock-up maybe into 9? Andy Knight's going to pick up the opportunity to go by as McLaughlin launches down the inside at 11 on Martin Short. Nice clean pass. Holden versus Ford, and the two youngsters battling for the rookie title. Changing positions.
All right, Scott McLaughlin will just defend that as much as he can. A bit further back, you see a Tim Edgell car still circulating, so maybe a bit of tyre smoke, whatever, but behind him, he has got the championship contenders, Johnny McIntyre and Kane Scott, who are on board with right now.
Well, there's just 3 of the Fab 4 left out there on the racetrack with the demise of Craig Baird in the early laps. Knight, just a hint of a brake lock-up for him. Ahead of Christina All-West, Timmy Edgell, John Mack. Kane Scott, Paul Manuel. Manuel was so impressive in that second race run. So McIntyre 13th, Kane Scott 14th, Angus Fogg up ahead in the 9th position. So more importantly for Angus, that is a gain in championship points.
This is a stage, but of course there's plenty of racing to go. But what we've seen time and time again with these reverse grid races, as the more competitive guys start getting through the field. Oh, there we go. Christina Orr just about lost it in front of Kane Scott. Now, Kane Scott's made the pass. Andrew Anderson getting past here by Angus Fogg.
So Angus Fogg is extended over Kane Scott out to 37 points. It's a 10-point gain with Foggy 9th, McIntyre, Kane Scott in 14th. In fact, it's a 12-point gain.
Scott McLaughlin inside of John Penny here.
Should get this completed off the exit of turn 11. McLaughlin on the move.
He certainly is. Saved the best for last.
37.9, he's one of the fastest drivers on track too. There's only 3 drivers in the 37s. Angus Fogg is one of them.
Now, he did get in the back of John Penny a little bit. Now, whether that will come under the attention of the judicial boys, I wouldn't have thought so, but anything can happen. Interestingly, Jamie, before the start of the race, we went for a bit of a walk, and some of the teams are opting to install the water brake systems that they've got for these cars. And what it does, it fires a very fine mist of water into the braking mechanisms and helps bring down the temperature. So these cars are working overtime in the brake department. 600-700 degrees is not uncommon.
McIntyre up to 11th, Kane Scott 13th on board with Kane Scott. That's McIntyre just up ahead, Tim Edgell in between them. Round winner, of course, at Manfield with the previous round. He's had a shocker of a weekend by his own standards.
And that car is, Timmy's is actually smoking now. I don't know if it's coming out of the exhaust one side or locking wheel the other, but either way,
contact.
Taking the battle right to Kane Scott.
Kane Scott went to go down the inside of Tim Edgell. Tim Edgell closed the door. He slammed the door, and there was contact at turn 5.
Yeah, nothing will come of that. That just proves that you can't take anything for granted in this championship, and when you think you're all the way down.
Some damage to the right front corner of the Fujitsu Ford. You've got to be careful you don't damage a steering arm or even a rim, flatten a tyre. So I'm sure that Kane Scott will take that on board.
Certainly would have felt it. Here we go. Run down the inside. He come from a long way back, and Timmy's already committed to the corner. So, yeah, just a little bit of a Liberace, as they say, in the back rear corner, and away he went.
Simon Richards having a strong run here, but look who's behind him. Scott McLaughlin is just charging. See if he can complete the run down into turn number 1.
He'll run down the side. Simon will see him, but he'll probably defend. No, he hasn't. So, no, Scott's got a bit more car pace than him. So he lets him go. Scott McLaughlin's been released now up to 3rd place.
Holden's 1, 2 and 3 with Nick Ross leading, but Scott McLaughlin is one of the fastest drivers on track.
Looks like the message has been given to through to Angie Booth that Scott McLaughlin's on a charge, because the last lap for Andy Booth, a 37.7. Race leader at the moment, Nick Ross, on a 38.0. So the message come through to those boys that Scott's coming.
Oh, Tim Edgell, he stops by the side of the racetrack.
That smoke we saw was mechanical and has become terminal.
Possibly a rear end, we don't know. As Andy Booth continues to chase down Nick Ross with a fast closing Scott McLaughlin. Now looking for the championship. Angus Fogg now up into 8th. John McIntyre 11th, Kane Scott in 13th. So again, still a gain there for Angus Fogg. McIntyre back in 11th. It's a 9-point gain for Angus Fogg, so the lead out to 36 points.
Now, if you wanted to know why Andy Booth has all of a sudden picked the pace up, the answer is Nick Ross, Andy Booth, last lap times respectively, a 1:38.2, 38.0. Here we go, Andy Knight slowing.
Yeah, he's got some damage to the front end. He's gone off somewhere, and it's filled the front of the race car full of dirt. It's John McIntyre and Andy Anderson dispute through turn number 2. Come back to those lap times. We watch McIntyre trying to get around Andy Anderson, but up ahead, Andy Knight having some issues before that. But
John Penny going around.
Penny going around, and the Penny Homes forward, so it's really starting to happen, and we haven't even got to the halfway mark of the final race here at Taupo.
Now, was he helped?
Here's the big antifreeze replay. This is on board with John McIntyre. This will be Andy Knight locking a brake to the inside of Andy Anderson, who's given them the big don't argue, and he skated off down through the grass, down the hill, through the carousel.
Carry on as if nothing ever happened.
There's JP up at turn number 5. Nick Ross continues to lead. So going back to those lap times.
What we alluded to, yeah. Scott McLaughlin last lap time, 1:37.1. So he's essentially circulating a second lap quicker than these two guys here.
Here comes Andy Booth. Nick Ross almost stopping on the back straight.
That looked all too easy, didn't it? Now, Nick doesn't know how to give up, I should say, so he'll contest this all the way through 12, 13 and 14.
So Andy Booth takes over the front running in the Rock FM Holden. Nick Ross back to second, but Scott McLaughlin making huge amounts of ground in third. As Andy Anderson still got John McIntyre and Kane Scott bottled up behind. Lots of dirt and debris down there through that last sequence of corners. Angus Fogg now up to 7th, McIntyre 10th, Kane Scott 11th. Still a 9-point gain, 36-point lead for Angus Fogg in the championship. Andy Anderson, he's had a much better weekend in the ITM Holden. So Anderson running in the 9th position, still trying to fend off John McIntyre. He's got to run up the inside this time. Kane Scott's going to follow him through.
Yeah, the freight train will come through here, but one man that is struggling to get through the traffic, although he has won a race this weekend, is Jason Barguana, still back in 13th position.
Oh, he's not too far behind this group of race cars. Andy Booth is still your race leader out in front. So McIntyre finally gets around Andy Anderson. So does Kane Scott, on board with Kane Scott looking back at the ITM Holden. So Booth leads from Nick Ross, Scott McLaughlin. There's John McIntyre and Kane Scott. Just 5 points separate them for the round victory. Scott's second in the championship, and John McIntyre looking to move into third overall with the demise of Craig Beard. And Angus Fogg still with the advantage here, Mark.
It is, and it doesn't matter how many car places he finishes in front of Kane Scott and Johnny McIntyre, so long as he does that. That's the main thing, because he'll gain a couple of points by doing so. And then, of course, the battle's going to come down to the ITM 400 in Hamilton in a few weeks' time. But man in the picture here, Nick Ross. We saw Andy Booth get past him before, but Andy Booth hasn't pulled away. And of course, the man that is on a charge here is the car on board now, which is Scott McLaughlin. Still circulating fast in these guys, but here we go.
Angus Fogg slowing because Kane Scott's just gone past him. Well, how a championship can change. Fogg is definitely slowing out there.
The commentator's curse, I just said the only objective he's got is to finish in front of the other guys. Now, is that a puncher? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Right front tyre.
Wow.
Right front tyre for Angus Fogg. I was just about to say he was 6th with John McIntyre 9th. Still that 9-point gain, a 36-point lead. But that championship equation now drastically changes as Scott McLaughlin looms up the inside of Nick Ross.
He's got the run down the inside. He's going to have an overlap by the time we get to the braking marker. I don't think Nick's going to contest this. No, he doesn't. He backs out of El Boothie in front, sideways. Did he make the corner?
He's locked up the brake. He hasn't gone down through the dirt. He's still sideways down through the second part of that sequence of corners. But we're going to have a new championship leader here very, very shortly, with Foggy limping around to pit and replace that damaged right front tyre on the LG Ford.
First and foremost, here he goes. He's slowing, no signs at all of slowing down. He's got to get the car back. The team's got to turn that around, so he's going to drop right back to the order. He will finish the race, but I dare say it's probably 17th or 18th position. And like you say, the change in the championship, depending where Kane Scott finishes, but Kane Scott could be the championship leader coming after this race in this round. Here's Angus Fogg's boys changing the tyre. It's been changed. We want it's going back on, so he'll be back out in a matter of moments. Got to run down the inside here. Make anything of it? No.
Not close enough. Boothie is very strong under brakes at that part of the track. If you remember his pole time here, I think back in 2008, he had 100 degrees lock on the steering wheel. He had it backed in that hard to set pole.
Angus Fogg there just joining in this battle, but of course he's now a lap down after coming in to change that flat tyre. So say he was circulating back in the 18th position.
So Angus Fogg 18th, Kane Scott.
Lead for the change to the lead side.
He's muscled his way past.
Drag race. Boothie's still got the inside though.
Big lunge under brakes, he holds on to it. McLaughlin is right up underneath the rear wing of the Rock FM Holden. So John McIntyre is in 8th, Kane Scott is in 9th. Kane Scott will take over the championship lead. Don't know that John McIntyre's maybe got enough points to get ahead of Foggy, but boy, this championship has just got turned on his head. in this race with Craig Baird, a DNF in the opening lap, and Angus Fogg with a deflating tyre having to pit and replace, and he's gone down a lap and he's in the 18th position.
Now McLaughlin's got to run on him. Boothie come out of the corner a little bit sideways. What can Scott do? We know he's got car speed. Boothie is entitled to move across. He's making Scott do everything as hard as he can. Go around the outside. It's going to be a braking duel right now. Advantage, Andy Booth.
Yeah, McLaughlin was half a second faster on the last lap than the Rock FM Holden. Booth still with the lead. But Scott McLaughlin, he wants this first win before he heads back home to start his second Fujitsu V8 supercar development campaign. Still Simon Richardson fourth, Martin Short fifth, Eddie Bell in sixth. Back on board with McLaughlin and a slowing Matt Lockwood. Flat right front tyre for Matt Lockwood is the call we're getting.
Right, it's a bit of a common theme here, so it's some part of the track. There is something that's going on, is because these boys are cutting the curbs as much and hard as they can. And what they're doing is they're just picking up whatever it happens to be and cutting through the right front tyres.
Booth very, very narrow into 5.
Oh, McLaughlin's got a blinder coming up there. Now he's down the inside. No,
on the rev limiter.
Unfortunately, that noise you heard, that's the limiter. The cars won't accelerate any more than that. So caught between a rock and a hard place at that stage.
He's trying hard. So they are 7th and 8th. Just 3 points difference between those two positions. So advantage still to Kane Scott for the round victory. Jason Barguana now up into 10th though. Now there's a black flag out on the racetrack for someone there. We haven't heard the call on race radio as yet. We're just getting the call that that flag was for Jason Barguana.
Wow, car 12, so that's a shame because you say he was in contention for the round honours after having that fantastic race one earlier in the day. So here we go.
Drive-through penalty. Now we don't know what that was for, but well, he was the round leader going into this final race, so that definitely advantages Johnny Mack and Kane Scott.
Certainly would have been over enthusiastic or aggressive at some stage with somebody else, because here we go, Scott McLaughlin down the inside of Boothie. He's got him. They're going to make contact. 1-2 hits. It's a drag race.
Side by side.
Now, who's got the best horsepower? I think advantage Andy Booth, but the advantage will be ultimately Scott McLaughlin's because he's got the inside running.
It's still side by side. Door mirror to door mirror. Oh, they make contact.
What's going to happen here? Nick Ross is going to...
Boothie's going to go down through the grass. He got sideways under brakes.
Now, has to let McLaughlin go. I reckon he can actually re-establish himself back in second place, exactly what he's done. I can't see any penalty have come of that because he went into the corner second, come out second.
New race leader, Scott McLaughlin.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, can Andy Booth come back at him, though?
He's certainly, he's going to make life as awkward as he can. Look, right now, made contact. Boothie's hard on the brakes, the rear tyres are locked up.
He's done the Scandinavian flick.
Has across the grass, that's the only option he had.
McLaughlin through to the lead. Nick Ross slots back into third. Well, this championship is just so close now. Don't go away. There is lots more to come. Now, that's Angus Fogg going around now. He was a lap down, not battling for position, but it's caused mayhem. Absolute mayhem in behind him.
Now, what's going to happen here? The boys are going to have to start working on exactly when the yellow flag come out and who took advantage of that. The yellow flag was out. Andy Knight passed Eddie Bow. Now, whether he'd gone through enough, here we go.
There's the big antifreeze replay. Fogg was actually trying to get by Nick Ross, locked up the rears.
Okay, so the yellow flag waving now. So any passing manoeuvres happen from this point onwards won't be allowed. So here we go.
It's a pretty hard one to call, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think Andy Knight actually passed under the yellow flag there, so I think he's going to have to readdress that.
Don't go away. We will be back with more from Taupo after this. You'd have to think pretty hard about this. At 17 years of age, would he just about be the youngest ever winner in a BNT V8? You'd have to think pretty hard about that.
Yeah, I think you're financially correctly. There's the team waving him on.
Yeah, it's Scott Stad, Wayne McLaughlin there on the fence, urging his young fella on.
Of course, he'll probably become the second rookie only to Eddie Bow to win in his debut season. So here we go. Probably 6 or 7 corners to go.
John McIntyre still 5th, Kane Scott 7th, Angus Fogg in the 15th position, still has the championship lead, as we said, by just 7 points over Kane Scott. John McIntyre more than likely to move into 3rd overall in the championship, with Craig Baird dropping back to 4th with a DNF, a very expensive DNF here in race number 3 at the Taupo Motorsport Park. McIntyre looking for the round victory. Believe it or not, that would be John McIntyre's first round victory for the 10-11 championship.
Really? Certainly going to be winning it at the right end of the championship, because after this there is only one more round to go and anything can happen. But this man in picture right now has dominated the Hamilton ITM 400 for the last couple of years, and I doubt this year will be any different. So the other boys out of battle of the championship know that they need to get as much buffer over this guy as they can, because if anybody knows how to win there, it is him.
So there's John McIntyre. He is in the 5th position, looking for the round victory, but the final race victory will go to an expat Kiwi, 17 years of age, Scott McLaughlin, based out of the Gold Coast in Australia. What a build-up to his Australian Fujitsu V8 Supercar campaign. He wins the finale at Taupo's first ever win, quite possibly the youngest ever race winner of a BNT V8 race.
Now, depending where Jason Barguana finishes, to top this off, he'll be 3rd overall for the round, Scott McLaughlin, so what a way to finish off.
Scott McLaughlin's first ever race win for the BNT V8s. He wins from Andy Booth and Nick Ross for a Holden 1-2-3 ahead of Andy Knight, round winner John McIntyre and Paul Manuel.